felt prompted today to talk about postpartum and what it did to me. I have many friends that have suffered from postpartum, and there's just various forms of it. I kind of wanted to talk about my journey with my son and maybe give a little bit of an insight on how it feels to have postpartum. I don't even think I recognized I had postpartum until way later. But I also wanted to tell people it's okay. It's okay. Because I don't think I understood that it was okay for me to have the specific feelings I had. And it was okay for me to handle what I needed to handle and to turn to people. Luckily, I had some really good friends that I could open up to and say something feels off, and they could open up and say, oh my goodness, what do you need? So I just kind of want to explain my journey. So I had Porter almost 2 years ago. He was such a joy to my life. I was so excited to have him. When we were going to try to get pregnant, we were told it was going to take us a long time to get pregnant. Because I have undiagnosed endometriosis. But the doctor was pretty sure I had endometriosis, and he didn't want to put me through everything. And so he's like, well, let's try to get you pregnant. And if it doesn't work, we'll go through a different process. Well, I got pregnant right away. We didn't know it for a couple more months, but I got pregnant really quickly. And it was my first year of teaching, and I was super sick. I was so sick with his pregnancy the entire time. I was uncomfortable. I was in a high stress situation, and I was not handling it very well. I was emotional. I was a mess, and I felt like all I did was complain all the time about this little being I was so excited to have. I couldn't even explain it. I was so not myself. I gained so much weight during my pregnancy. I was really struggling. And then I gave birth, and it was such an amazing experience. I had this beautiful, healthy little boy. And that was it. I was like, I became a mom. Everything was going to be easier when he got on my tummy. And then it wasn't. He struggled to nurse, and I couldn't get him to latch. And I mean, I had read like thick books about nursing. Like I was gonna nurse. I've worked with kids for years. I could do this. And then he wouldn't latch. And it was so hard for me. I knew something was wrong, but everyone told me he'll get it. It'll be okay. And I was like, something is wrong. This does not feel right at all. And I went in a week later after he was born, and he was almost hospitalized because he had lost such a dramatic amount of weight. He lost over 25% of his body weight since he was born. And luckily, the pediatrician I went to said, I realize you have a really strong supply, so just pump and feed him with a bottle to give him his supply, because his weight is just so dramatically dropping. And I went home so discouraged. I wasn't feeding my child, I was starving my child. And it hurt so bad. For the next 3 weeks, all he did was cry and cry, and I swear, like, I could never get him to be calm. And I remember one day looking at my husband and going, I didn't want a baby that cried all the time. And my husband was like, I don't know what to do with that information. I don't know how to handle that. And I resented having him so badly. And then I felt the shame because I wanted him so bad. And I knew he was supposed to be in my life. But I was resenting him, and I was struggling, and I was hating being a mom. I hated it. I couldn't figure it out. Well, I ended up finding out about lip ties. Which lip ties, if you don't know, it's like right here on your lips. Most kids I've actually met have them. And when you have a lip tie, it prevents nursing because they can't get their lip up enough to latch and to suck enough. It can account for having a dip in your supply where you just don't make enough for your baby. There's so many variations. Like it can account for having the bloody nipples while nursing. It account for pain while nursing. There's so many things. And I found out about lip ties, and I found Porter's, and Porter's was severe. It went all the way down. And I went into 2 pediatricians, and they said, it's not a big deal. It's okay. It really won't fix anything. And my mom gut said, no, that's not right. That's not right. I want to do something because I feel like for us, something needs to change. And so I went into an ENT where they take it and they just snip it. He numbed it and they snipped it. And he told me it wouldn't make a difference. So why would I do this to my child? And my spirit just said, no, this is what we need to go through. We need to do it. And they snipped him. He cried for 2 minutes maybe. And I gave him a bottle and he was fine. He was content and happy. He nursed for the first time that night. And he never had issues nursing again. Also, his colic went away. He started crying less. He started to really be a joy. And that was part of our journey that we needed to go through. If you want more information about lip ties, because for some reason, even though they're extremely common, they're not talked about. I would be happy to give you more information, even to assess your child and look at it, because it's something that really impeded our journey and really gave us a struggle. I know when I have my next baby, that's something I'm going to look for right away, because it really was so hard for us. Anyway, so that was part of our journey that we had to go through, and it was not easy at all. And I struggled with resentment, with not knowing what to do with this child. And I look back and I realize I needed to not be shamed for those moments, because I've seen people on Facebook come out with those as mom groups. Oh my goodness, they can be so horrible. But I saw women that said, I'm struggling, I feel like this, and moms would viciously attack them. How dare they think like that? Not everyone knows what it feels like. Nobody talks about that when you're pregnant with your baby. They're like, oh, you're going to lose sleep, it's going to be rough. But nobody talks about how you may have a moment that you'll look at your child and go, I didn't want a baby like this. I wanted that Gerber baby that was perfect, that I could immediately soothe and bond and connect with. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have moments in the night where you go, this is not the life I wanted. That's okay. That's okay. Tell somebody. Tell me. There is more people than you know that walk around hating themselves for thoughts. I have several friends that thought about committing suicide after their baby. Their postpartum was so severe, and they thought they were alone. But you're not. Everyone has their moment where they struggle, and that is okay. Open up to someone, tell someone you really trust. Tell your husband, and maybe they don't know and they don't understand. I know my husband didn't. He didn't have a clue what was going on with me. But it felt good to say it, to tell somebody. Being a mom became my hardest struggle above everything else I've been through. Oh, and I've been through a lot. Being a mom pushed me to my limit of what I knew I was capable of. Pray and ask for help and ask for guidance. Ask for angels to help you. Whether it's postpartum you felt or feel, whether it's anxiety, depression, there are so many ways to lift your spirit. That was my son's and I's journey to start his life. We actually didn't even have a bond until the past 2-3 months. I couldn't even bond with him. I tried, I loved him, but I didn't have that bond that moms talk about, like, oh, and they just bring my heart so much joy, and I like want to be with him, and I didn't have that. And that hurt. That hurt to not know what my child needed, to not know when his nap times were, to not know what he specifically for his spirit needed. I'll do another video, because I know this one's probably running really long, about how to bond with your child if you felt that way. I know I'm not the only one, and I think that's what makes me speak out and say these things, because they're really hard for me to say. This is my weakness, but I'm not it. We as women, I think we put ourselves in our bubbles and we feel like we're the only ones that feel that way, but it's not true. It's not. That's a lie. That's a lie that Satan and dark people put in our brains. That's not true. We are not alone. I'm so grateful to speak to you this morning and to tell you these things, to open up about my journey, because someone needed to hear it. I needed to hear it. 2 years ago, I needed someone to tell me. Thank you so much for watching.